Attention pro athletes. Want to secure your financial legacy and thrive off the field? Oakbridge Wealth Management, led by wealth manager Chris Anicetti, is your dedicated financial planning ally. But don't take it from me. Take it from the Dallas Cowboys' Tyler Biadasz. He says, Chris set goals financially and has been incredibly impactful in my journey in the NFL. Experience our customized, comprehensive approach, trusted by top NFL players. Don't leave your financial success to chance. Connect with Chris on Instagram at OakbridgeWM_Anicetti. That's OakbridgeWM_ANICETE, and let Oakbridge Wealth Management guide you across the goal line.
First sheet again, big opening, pass 5, pass 10, Vermont's a man, and he goes all the way to the 15-yard line. 17 yards on the carry.
Welcome back to Believe in Badgers on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag and Oakbridge Wealth Management. Once again, I'm Matt Perkins, joined, as always, by Badger legend, the Hebrew Hammer himself, Matt Bernstein. Bernie, how are we doing today?
Oh, every day on the podcast is a holiday. We got one of my favorite people, the guy who does like pretty much a lot of the work off season during the season. So I'm pumped, Brady, to have you back to really get into it. Year 2, it's so exciting.
It is, man. It is. It's very exciting. I think it was about this time last year. I was sitting at the Airbnb place on Lake Monona there, and late nights, working all day, getting this thing going, and then, a full year into it now. So it's an honor to be back, boys. Appreciate you guys.
Before we get into it, want to remind you that we are presented by BetOnline.ag, where they continue to be your number one source for all of your online sports wagering needs. You name it, they've got it over there at BetOnline. Head on over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit with our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV, BetOnline, where the game starts. So what's the biggest difference between the Brady we're talking to today and the Brady we met a year ago, pretty much today?
Yeah, I think it's, anytime, you take over a program and, you have your foundation, you know what you want to install, just from the top down as far as culture and all that stuff, which culture really is dependent upon the leaders that you have on the team, because they're going to drive the culture with their behavior, and the results just reinforce that. But when you kind of look at the broad spectrum of thing, we got here, and you're learning the nutritionist and how she works and, what she's used to doing. And then, pushing her and, letting her kind of take the reins and like, hey, whatever you've never done before, whatever you want to get, let's enhance this, let's enhance that, because that's what these kids deserve. Sports medicine, just however the way they used to do things, totally different than the way, we do things now. And, our relationships like this, just gotta have that. It's for the benefit of these kids. And then it just keeps stemming. Academics, they've always been great. Now it's like, getting them a notch above too. And then you go to the field, obviously, yes, recruiting and all those things. But, I would say it's just the foundation set. We're very fortunate that, after this year, going into this offseason, like, we got some dudes that are true leaders now, and you couldn't put it up last year. You couldn't really harp on it too much because, your best players must be your best workers and therefore are your best leaders. And a lot of times, someone could be elected as a leader or something like that, but if they're not one of those best players and you peel the layers back, why is he so good at playing football? Well, he works his butt off for it. Well, that in turn makes him a leader, whether he's a rah-rah guy or not. Like, it's his work habits, it's his daily effort and attitude, all those things. He doesn't accept losing. So kind of going into the offseason now with a good core of that, it's really something you can build on, because I always tell these kids, I don't want to talk to you till I'm blue in the face and try to give you some hype motivation stuff. There's times for that, and no doubt I can get the best of that. That's for sure. But, I want them to lead it. This is their program. I always say, I'm just fortunate. I got the whistle. Like, we write the plan, but the plan's to make you better. You have to drive it. So I would say that's the biggest thing. Just to understand, like, I think it was the other day, it was Will Pauling, and Will Pauling's sitting up here. He's stretching after a good lower body lift, and he's talking with one of our transfers, and he was like, damn, he's like, I see why y'all so big now. And Will's like, dude, it's the only thing I know, man. And then, like, Hunter Wooler's right next to him. He's like, dude, I can't think of anything different. And it's like, I think they're starting to get it down now. Like, not saying that what we do is the greatest in the world. I always say that. I say it's not what we do, it's why we do it. More importantly, who we do it with. But, I feel like from day one of this offseason, they knew what to expect, even though we've thrown wrinkles at them, even though we're pushing them harder, putting them in more adverse situations to thrive. They just, they're hungry for it. And I think, with the evolution of guys leaving and guys coming in, it's always about the right ones. And, I can't credit the coaching staff, above for doing that.
So Brady, last time we had you on, you literally got off the plane and you were at the stadium getting dudes ready, you're building your entire kingdom of physical strength and ability and agility and the whole nine. And I'm sure there were some obstacles. And as you went through it, and then you saw the summer and then the season, what were some of those obstacles that you saw? The season one wasn't what everyone wanted it to be, but do you sit on the sidelines and you're like, all right, I see what I can get a little bit more accomplished here. I see what I can get out of these dudes. And then you also see the guys and their mentality. So that's a 20-piece question, but I'm sure you're taking all this data in, and now you're like, I understand. I want to speak for you, but you're like, I'm ahead now. I understand the kids. We didn't just meet them 10 minutes ago. We've been here for 6 months, a year almost, actually a year. So go through all that. I guess it's sorry, that's 40 different things I threw at you.
No, I love it.
You got enough juice though for all of it though. You got all that juice.
I feel like, it could start even just, when we first got here, I sat and I met with every single player, top to bottom. And really that was unless I met with them before at a prior recruiting deal or came up for, a dinner or something, that was my first interaction with them, get to know them, where they're from, their family, what motivates them, what's their fear, try to break the ground and, just create a common bond, then go from there. And so, and then I did it again in the summer, because you revert back to, hey, this is what you did in the winter. This is where I think you're going. And it's not like what I'm saying. I'm never, ever telling the kids, you got to bench 225 30 times. I'm never saying that. It's always, I always meet with the position coaches. And obviously Coach Vic and I are always together talking about things. It's what's the best thing to put you in the best position to be, one, a great teammate, and two, to provide value on the field, in practice, in the way, all those types of things. So, just kind of, getting through that in the past couple of weeks here, it's totally different. The kids, you already have that relationship with them. So that's built. You learn ways to push guys even harder. I say all the time, the easiest thing to do is to motivate the young guys and challenge them and mold them and all that kind of stuff. What challenges me the most is making sure this offseason and the rest of this entire year is the greatest year that Hunter Wohler, Ches Malusi, Jack Nelson, all these guys that came back because they wanted to leave a legacy. They wanted to create a standard. They wanted to be better, yes, selfishly themselves, but also as a team. I have to challenge them differently. And that makes me better because I can't just copy and paste or try to do what we did this time. I'm always watching them and the rest of the team to, one, hone in on the heartbeat, but where do we need to push? Where do we need to pull back? And so I think that's a big thing, just the relationships and, telling kids where they got to grow and all those types of things, even though we all need to grow.
And Brady, real quick, but you now know these guys through a season.
Yeah.
I can't compare it to going to war, but it's kind of like that. You really are doing something special and unique and different.
Yeah.
And now you know these guys in the trenches and on the field. And I feel like that must have helped your relationship because now Hunter Wohler is a dog who's going to be there for his team. He calls his guys out when he needs to. Ches is not giving up, man. That guy's been through adversity left, right, up, and down, and he's not giving up. I think that says something to you guys, the coaching staff, but also says something about them. But speak to that a little bit of going through a season and seeing the dudes and going through to me, it's a traumatic experience this season. It's really ups and downs.
Yeah.
So what's that like getting to know them that way?
Our greatest joy as coaches is watching them do what they love to do on Saturdays. It is. And, again, we came out, was it hot? Yeah, we, going, but, we start out, 1-0, and then you go to Washington State and we're right there, and again, you just kind of revert back to all the things you did in the offseason, finishing, all those things, we were right there again. And, okay, whether it was, a fumble and it was ruled down. Well, now you can't play that game. Like, there's always something, the butterfly effect that happened before that. Okay. Then, you come back home, Georgia Southern, take care of business. And then the Purdue game where everything's cooking and my guy, big old D lineman falls right on his leg. And like, when I say like my heart dropped, my knees broke, like it did because of, like you said, my relationship with Ches, like how much he's been through, his mindset, the way his body was, like he was in the best shape of his life. But we joke now because now he's in the best shape of his life. Yeah, I mean, and again, you're seeing those guys go through it. You're seeing, again, a big thing of what we, pride ourselves on is training you to be a football player, not a weightlifter, right? Even though, yes, the heavy squats and deadlifts and benches, those are great. Those are cool, but they really don't matter if they don't make you good at football. As I really peel back the layers and just kind of look at everything, like, we were tough. Like, we didn't quit. I'm sure there's some games, shit didn't go our way. But when I, just look back at like, soft tissue injuries, we didn't have any. I wish I could do something for Tanner's, throwing hand right there in that bone when he hit Iowa, but I couldn't. But, guys like Braden Locke, who trained his butt off and changed his body, put himself in a position to win us games. With what's his name? Ches, another bone issue. And then, Bryson with an ankle here or there. Like, I mean, if football's going to happen, like injuries are going to happen. I think the biggest thing that we saw throughout all that was, okay, when Bryson Green does roll his ankle and he can't come back, who's going to step up, And it can't be us as coaches, especially me, strength coach. Like, it's not my place, even though I know it too and I hear it, all that stuff. But, like, dude's got to step up, man. Like, you got to provide value and reps and be pushing that guy in front of you so that, God forbid, if something happens, you can step in, your number's called. Now you can go do what you've trained to do. And I think we just saw a lot of that, where guys thought, hey, maybe I've done the workouts, I've done this, and now, yet it's my opportunity. I go and I don't really thrive in it, or I don't do as well as I thought I could. So, that kind of opens that up. But, I really feel like just the brotherhood that is really just cultivating right now, and just the competitiveness, the selflessness that's going on right now. Like, you talk about it last year, okay, and then we go through all that adversity. We go to a bowl game where, we're whooping butt, but we didn't finish, for whatever reason. Okay. So you got a lot of mojo right now going into the offseason, which you're always going to have hype. And I get it. Last year, so much hype, all that stuff. And I keep telling these kids every day, I said, look, I'm proud. I'm proud of the way you guys are training. I think we're doing great. I'm not satisfied. And it's a quote on the board right now. It just says, continue to work hard because nobody cares. Like, they really don't. And I just want our guys to feel that. And like, yes, when you walk out of here, you feel absolutely jacked and you just trained your ass off, and your legs aren't going to be normal till Monday when we, do upper again. But like, it doesn't matter, man. There's got to be more. And it's not more about what we do with their bodies. It's their hearts and their minds. And, just taking the full spectrum of that, I feel like our guys really embrace now that the way we train, not the what, but the way, it's our edge. And I feel like, just starting to see that more where, my previous spots, it was that. And again, it wasn't something that I tried to make like, oh, this is it. Like, no, it's the guys fed off that. And then they attacked, people that showed any sign of weakness or softness. And, to me, that's always the coolest thing. I mean, not gonna lie, like a humble brag, like, during a game, the O-line guys are dominating. They come over and this, they're just going crazy with you. Like, that's why we do that. And you're like, yeah, like, so, but yeah, I would just say that I think just the mindset, their hearts, and really what they understand, because, let's face it, just because you work hard doesn't guarantee you shit. Like, it doesn't. It doesn't in our job. It doesn't in life. It doesn't in any job. And, I think that's what they're motivated by more than anything right now, is just continuing to bust ass, and that nobody cares. Continue to work harder. There's always more we can be doing for each other.
Well, you took Matt Perkins, before you get a question, and I'm sorry to keep cutting you off, but you mentioned two things. One, the bowl game was the best game that the Badgers played all year, I think, bar none, as a team. And you're right, the last 2 minutes, it's just we haven't done that yet as a team. Like, we weren't put in a situation to win a game. We didn't have it yet. We weren't as competitive, I think. But if you take those 2 minutes out, we won that game. I mean, we beat them up. And I don't care if their best player wasn't there. So was ours. A bunch of our guys weren't there. So that, but When I saw this dude on the field, it sums up exactly what you're saying. Tell me Jackson Aker didn't lose like 15, 20 pounds and now looks like a tailback. Like
back then,
he looked awesome. And to me, as a running back, this is really mostly what I care about in life. From day one when he stepped on the field, I was like, oh boy. And then in the bowl game, he dominated. So I would love to hear what happened? Like, how did he do it?
Yeah, I mean, again, he took advantage of his opportunities. I think, Yak started the game, and then, Yak got tackled and his ankle went boo-boo, so he was done. And Jackson just stepped up, and I think the O-line, one of their best games all year. I mean, yes, I know Bort wasn't there, but Jake Renfro's a dog. I mean, he's an absolute dog who's been in the trenches against Georgia, Alabama. Like, it's no surprise when I watched him, and I watched him play really well. Yes, snaps were great, all that. Okay, but it was everything else. Like, so I think that had a lot to do with it. The boys were in a good rhythm, and Tanner was unreal. I mean, that's the best. I mean, that's that was Tanner Mordecai that we all saw every single day, and I wish that could have been to fruition throughout the whole year. But you know what? It takes alignment, man. It takes alignment from the top down, not just these players. And I think, Coach really saw that and knew that. And, yes, there's been moving pieces on staff and roster and all that stuff. But again, and this isn't an excuse, but just a full year into it, I think now you got all your arrows going the right way. Everybody's meshing. Everybody knows their assignments, knows what the plan is, how we're going to go about this, how we're going to teach and coach this. Like, that's huge because the kids see that. But, yeah, Jackson took advantage of those opportunities, man. And, ran some dudes over, made some great runs, and I just wish it would have ended the other way, but
Well, let's talk about some of those changing plans. What is sort of the biggest difference in your approach to this offseason versus last offseason?
I think I kind of hit on it just a little bit, and I was fortunate to kind of go through a similar thing. The 21 season when a bunch of high-end guys, decided to forego their, to leave early for the NFL and come back and play. And, that really motivated me and, enhanced, just my everything as a coach, because I couldn't train Desmond Ridder the same. I couldn't train Kobe Bryant, Ahmad Gardner, all these guys. So that challenged me, but yet in the same thing, making sure the team was still, it's not like I'm like, all right, you guys are with me and I'm everybody else. Like, so in turn, it's the same thing this year. You got Jack Nelson who could have left, but he didn't. Hunter Wohler coming back for a reason, for all the right reasons. All these guys are. Ches, countless times I could tell you where Ches and I have been sitting right here and just like deep, long talks. And like, man, I want that guy just to have the greatest year of his life. Like, he's such a freak of a human being. He's so strong right now. I think the best thing that really happened was, the moment he decided to come back. And I know it was kept under wraps to the outside world forever, not in here. I mean, literally, as soon as he could, him and I were lifting one-on-one. And it was the best thing for him because, he got to really acknowledge and fix a lot of his old issues, a shoulder, a wrist, even his knee. Like, it just gave him more time to do a little extra rehab. So it was almost like we started back at ground zero. And, I remember when I first got here last year, I mean, Ches couldn't bench. He couldn't squat. Like, he was beat up, but I modified around him and got his body good, and he was feeling great and looking good. And, like, now there's no modifications to Ches. Like, we have to hold him back because he's just like a pit bull that just wants to go eat. And he's looking, he's so good. He's 218 pounds. He's so fast as shit, so strong. But, yeah, it's just the plan's always got to be different. And, I think I always get more excited about the winter than I do any other time because your team is reborn every single year. Guys leave, guys come in. Coaches leave, coaches come in. But, what you're striving to do is still the same. Win championships. And, doing everything that we did last year and seeing how it went and all that stuff. Okay, take deeper dives. Look inside the locker room. Look inside, and it's getting those kids to understand and see that. Like I said, nothing's guaranteed to us. And we know that. And I think these kids know that now too. And it's like, that's just how hard it is. But the great teams, they win because of each other. They win because of relationships. They win because of a genuine love for one another, not to let each other down, to give it their all, no matter what. arms in a sling. Doesn't matter. I got you. I'm giving you everything I got because that's how much you mean to me. And that's how much this place means to me. So kind of restoring that, I think I've been also just very fortunate. You guys, I mean, Bernie, a bunch of you former players, getting to talk with you, Joe Thomas, just, how much this place means to you and what it was like back in the day. And, finding some of those old school things, bringing them into the new school things that I do. And, that's, again, just the edge that we're trying to set.
You doing those stadiums? It's the worst thing in the world. As crazy as I am, I'm always pretty big on safety, even though I know you're probably like, yeah, right, I see you guys like fighting and wrestling and all that. Yeah, okay. But something about running on the bleachers kind of scares me. Dude, it never rains when you do it. Never rains. It's crazy. I always felt unsafe too.
We're running the ramp right now. We do hill sprints on the ramp. We did them in the summer.
Wouldn't want to do that either.
Oh, they're naughty. We did them in the summer outside. And then, with the construction going on the field and obviously weather, although the weather's been great recently, I was like, all right, this ramp's perfect. We're doing
it. As you mentioned some of these things, and it brings up great, you said you're building this culture. You're right. From just weightlifting, I mean, you're there 2-3 hours a day, from beginning the time you walk into the stadium, by the time you leave, and you're spending most of the time with you and your staff, right? You're like the salesman on the front lines of knowing all the kids, knowing what they're, happy about, what they're said. You could probably recognize a kid come off his scooter or his bike, or now they probably have like those e-scooters and tell if he's happy or sad right off the bat. I think like, and as I hear you talking, like, obviously I think the first year is much more difficult. You're coming into a whole new world. Not saying not the lifting world, but the world of like Wisconsin. What do you see in the weight room right now? Like, who's jumping in there? Who's like going nuts? Like Hunter Roller, you brought up a bunch. Ches Malusi. There's got to be other dudes who are just amped up, ready to get after the season. Like, understand the methodology behind what you're trying to do, and are saying, "I'm embracing this." And I think, side note, are a lot of guys embracing it so much easier than they were maybe last year?
Yes. I think, one, we've challenged them, with those individual meetings with position coaches, Coach Fick and myself. And, let's face it, if I'm an inside linebacker right now, I'm looking around going, holy shit, like my room's changed, and this is not a knock in any means. I was talking with Tress and he was like, there's 8 new guys in my room from last spring till now. He goes, do you know what the difference of those 8 are now and the 3 remaining that were here last year and that are still here? And I was like, what? He goes, they're over 6 feet tall. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. And, in the outside linebacker room, I mean, the guy that's got the most reps is Daryl Peterson. Like, that's it. Like, Witt's coming, no doubt. But like, it's like, so I think they feed off that because, everybody wants to play. I get it. Everybody wants reps and, sure, especially wideouts. We know how they can get like, why aren't I getting the ball? Well, get open, like, make it happen. And, I tell the guys all the time, especially the D line, like, hey, let's just be honest. Let's be real with ourselves. We lost a lot of reps. Okay. How much production did we lose with those reps? And making guys understand that, and coach says it all the time in practice and everything, like, don't take a bad rep. No rep is better than a bad rep. Like, seriously, not even getting a rep is better than bad rep. So understanding that if you're going to provide reps, they better be like the best you can. They better be all out, like war, because that's the only way you're going to provide production. We don't want guys just to be there to wear the jersey and drink the drinks and all that stuff. Like, no, like it's got to bleed through you. And so I definitely think that's, the guys are feeling that and they're hungry for that. I mean, that's the whole motto of this offseason is to hunt or be hunted. I mean, it is like, Chaney's absolutely on fire right now. And, I know that was the name you asked. I mean, Will Pauling, Nazir for Queen, you're not even going to recognize him, when you see him soon because he's on the plan right now. And I've had my share of that plan and he is growing and doing really well. One
guy I actually want to ask you about was someone you had at Cincinnati, now is back, and that's Jakeem Thomas. So what did you learn from him about sort of his experience in the SEC and the stuff they were doing at Arkansas? What's it like to be back with him again, someone who's, an incredibly talented athlete in and of himself?
Yeah.
What's it been like to sort of be with him, leave for a while, now get him back?
Oh, I love Jaheim, man. He's a great young man, heart of gold, always has a smile. And he's got some freaky things that he can do, just a knack for the football, whether it's pass rush, inside, whatever it may be. So it's been a blessing to have him back. He should have been here all along. He knows that. I know that. And I'll just do the no comment on everything that he went through at Arkansas, just because, there's a lot of, and I know I'm not the greatest in the world. I would never say it, but I just know the way that we train, it's what these kids deserve. And I know a lot of places just cheat these kids. There's, Jackson McGohan came from LSU and got a kid coming from Oklahoma. But it's great to have Jaheim back. Like I said, Chaney's been attacking. He's a dog. I could go down. There's so many guys. Like even the new freshmen. Like it's ridiculous. Like the 2 O-line freshmen that just got here are, by testing standards, their day one evals and all this testing that we do, and I come up with a power index for them. They're the 2 highest O linemen I have ever seen, and that's Cincinnati, Ohio State, Mississippi State, Kentucky. And then you watch them move and you watch them lift, and they're just growing, and they're such great kids. All the the tight ends that came in, Steck and Book, just. It freaks Heiberger. We call him Tommy Turbo because the kid is a nut job. It's just, I commend these coaches. Yes, recruiting, it helps. It does help. It helps, but you got to get the right ones. And I think that's what we're seeing more so than ever. And I think that's what, the guys that came back, that saw a lot of new guys come in last year with us and all that stuff, but have now played a season and now understand what it takes. And then they see all these other guys come in. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, now I see. We got to have dogs everywhere. If we just have another CJ Getz that takes, 70 reps a game, body is shot. He's a 6-year guy. You love the shit out of him, but, he wakes up Sunday and he can't even move. He comes in. We do the best we can with our training with him. He re-energizes by Tuesday for practice. Wednesday's a little better. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, he's back. We got to have guys to provide value, to provide production that are going to help keep him fresh. And, that's the whole push is guys, when you get to the next level, not everybody plays every single rep. And I think a great example of that's Jaheim Thomas. Jaheim had a great year last year in the SEC. His best year was the college football player of the year at Cincinnati, where he rotated 50 snaps with another guy because he was fresh. So when he went in, he was dominant. When the other guy came in, he was dominant. And, trying to get the D-line to really feel that. James Thompson's doing a great job right now pushing dudes. And young Jamel Howard is looking so good and, right there, right under James's, wing. And getting that, hey, James, you want to be the best, man? You want to be, just the absolute freak of freak. You got to have these other guys with you provide 20, 30 reps a game, maybe 10. You know what? Screw it. If I'm a freshman, I just got here. Big Ernest Willer. Oh, yeah, he looks good. If I provide 10 reps of all out, that's going to make us so much better. And in turn, that wears down the O-line. Well, guess what I'm doing? I'm training the O-line's balls off so that doesn't happen. And their heartbeats like this. And they're, I'm getting excited. But, yeah,
Attention athletes. Do you want a frictionless and tailored financial planning experience to secure your future? Well, look no further. Introducing Oak Bridge Wealth Management, the premier financial planning firm for professional athletes. Led by wealth manager Chris Anicetti, our team provides a unique and comprehensive approach, ensuring your financial success both on and off the field. We understand the unique challenges you face as a professional athlete, from managing cash flow habits to planning major business purchases and navigating complex contracts. That's why we've developed a proven process, working closely with our strategic partners to provide seamless solutions for your unique financial journey. Our services evolve with your career, offering short, mid, and long-term goal setting, portfolio optimization, real estate investments, and more. As you transition to life beyond the field, we support you with career development and philanthropic ventures. But don't just take our word for it. Top NFL players like Chase Boulier, Tyler Biadasz, Alec Ingold, and more trust Oak Bridge Wealth Management to guide them towards financial success. Troy Dye of the Minnesota Vikings says, I really love the work that Chris and the rest of the Oak Bridge group do. I especially like the honesty and transparency when it comes to setting up financial goals and plans that best fit my needs and situation. It's time to elevate your financial game plan. Connect with Chris on Instagram at oakbridgewm_Anicete. That's oakbridgewm_ANICETE. And join the winning team.
So you mentioned the transfer portal pretty much. I'm sure you sit down with those guys and you have that onboarding or whatever you call it, intro meeting. Do you talk about like what kind of weight training they're doing at other schools and like what they like, what they don't like, what they've seen, what they don't, like what they are like, oh, this is terrible. So you guys I don't want to call out any other university, but you have guys coming from pretty big schools. Yeah. Do you sit down and you're like, hey, dude, what were you doing there? Just let me hear what you're doing.
Yeah. I kind of always tell them, hey, respectfully, I don't really care what you have done, but I'm just honest with them. Like I tell them straight up what we do. And, I think that's a big reason why Tackett Curtis and I hit it off so well. Like, we talked, yes, about life and football and all that stuff, but like 95% of the time it was like, hey, strength training. And he was all about it. Like, but you kind of do have to get, an idea of, what they're coming from, what they've been through. And then, just very similar to like last year when you get here and you're new and you're like, hey, I'm not going to get body weights. Everybody wants to see how you adapt. Kind of do that again with these guys. Yes, Jaheim knew what to expect. But, I can just tell, like, watching them now, and you're like, oh, yeah, they're starting to really adapt. Or, they'll jog by you during the lift, and they're like, man, this shit's fucking hard. Like, or they'll say something, or like, man, I feel good, something like that. And, not like I need reassurance, but just always letting them know that, like, whether they came from an Olympic-based program or a more, long-distance running, which I don't know why people still run 110s and all that crazy shit, but I tell them, look, we're training you to be the best football player you can be. And you're a running back, so you're going to be trained just a little bit different than that tight end. And that O-lineman's going to be trained different. Like, I think we and I've always done stuff like that. I'm doing it even more now. Like the other day we had our speed competitions. So we had a great juicy upper body lift. And then we all went out to the indoor as a team and we had speed stations. And then we finished with competitive sprints with just the skill and big skill guys. And I had the O-line and the D-line guys on prowlers, and we loaded it up 300 pounds, and it's mass moves mass. Like, what's going to get you better to play the position that you play? Running 10-yard sprints or pushing a prowler 5 yards as fast as you can against other people to see who's faster, who can physically move another person faster. And, just transferring that. And then, when we finished with the skill guys that definitely look good running, like they got to go over and watch the big guys. So now they're all getting hyped up and juiced up. And, the specialists were in the back of the end zone pulling sleds. I don't need to see them run. They just need to kick balls.
And kick them consistently, not out of bounds on kickoff.
Yeah.
Can't kick them out of bounds on kickoffs. I'm going to leave that there. You mentioned tweaking it for different positions. What's your relationship like with the position coach, especially the new guys coming in? Obviously, strength training and O-line coaches tend to go hand in hand a lot of times. What's been your I know a lot of people on the Vanderbilt program who speak very highly of Coach Blaze. What's it been like to get to assimilate to these new three guys, as well as sort of grow the understanding communication between the guys that are still on staff and you have been with for the last year?
Yeah, Coach Blaze is he's like my buddy, man. He's if I turn around at 6 a.m., right there he is. He's hyping up the boys. He's in here. He's getting a lift in. That's just the number one thing I feel with him is the energy. It's contagious, and his genuine love. Again, he's only been here a couple of weeks. Like, you wouldn't know it now. Like, the guys just, he says jump, and they're like, how high? Like, it's really cool. And that's a sign of a great coach. Like, he's done it the right way. He's come in, he's earned their trust, their respect. He's proven it. He's being consistent every single day. He has them break down everything, no matter where they are on, O-line. And it's not just like O-line on 3, 1, 2, 3, O-line. It's like they yell it, and he keeps, like, he's got a big sign in the O-line room. It's like, dude, restore O-line you, restore, like, and him and I talked, and I said this to Jack. I said it to Bort. I said, like, let's be real, guys. There hadn't been a first-round draft pick in the line room since 2017. Like, I know there's been a lot of great players that have, been drafted and all that stuff. I said, but like, it's time to bring it back. Like, and it's not just by how they play. It's everything. The way they train, the way they are, like the way they just lead, the way they play and they carry themselves. So you're seeing a big uptick in them. That's a great addition. Kenny G, the sax man, being from Columbus, Ohio, I know that name very well. His year that he got to play, and I think he beat Purdue on that comeback or overtime win or whatever. I was a young GA at Kentucky, but I remember his name. I remember hearing about him. And, obviously I worked at Ohio State, but there were some coaches that were there before I got there that would speak highly of him. So that was really cool. He has been awesome. Again, kids are gravitating towards him. He's such a smart, just really, really good coach. And again, he's got a lot of dudes in his room. He's like a little giddy every single day because he knows he's got a lot of toys. And then Coach Grinch, man, what one is huge. I mean, you never realize he's like 6'4". This guy was like a safety hybrid outside linebacker at Mount Union. So he's kind of my enemy. That was a rival of ours. Well, you can't really say rival considering then we never beat them. But wow, like what a smart coach, man. Like what a just active. He's very active. Those kids, and again, I straight up told him the one day, I said, look, man, you're walking into the greatest room probably in the country, top to bottom, whether it's a walk-on or a scholarship. Like all these guys eat. All these guys are great football players, great men. They train their balls off. And, he's jumped right in, hit it full-heartedly. Like, there's a reason why these guys are here. Like, anybody can say what they want. Like Coach Grinch was a DC, all that stuff. Like the guy knows what he's doing. And now he's around great people with Coach Vic, Coach Tress, Coach Scruggs, all those guys in those room, all working together, all alignment pointing towards, what we want to do. And so it's been exciting. And then, even myself, my staff's changed. One of my guys decided to hang it up, which, was shocking, but he had a baby in the summer and, they're from Michigan. And he was like, hey, man, he's like, I feel like I want to just raise a family now. My wife wants to be closer to home. And, hey, I get that. So I was able to hire one of my former interns from way back in the day who was recently at Pitt. And he's come in. He's been a bat out of hell. And the boys love him. So, like I said, it's a lot of times people on the outside could be like, man, these guys are leaving or those guys are leaving or new guy. Like, that's life, man. Like, it's growth. And, change is inevitable. Growth is optional. Like, this is the kind of stuff Vic and I like feed off of. And I think our players do too. Like, and again, I get it. Like, like you talk to the O-line guys, you're like, man, this is your fourth coach in so many years. They all say, I don't give a, like, we want to win. We want to be the best. So whatever it takes, like, we're all about it. And I think we can all relate to that because whether I'm in the same job I've been in for a long time and with some different bosses or coworkers, like, you take something from each of them and you build yourself around that. But very, very excited. A lot of juice going on, a lot of great men, great coaches, and it's exciting.
So Brady, something I think that's really cool about what you do is you highlight the guys. So like, is that something you just like doing? Because you do it on your own platform. It's on the Badger football one. I go back and forth, so I get to see like two pretty much the same things, but I could watch videos of the guys all day. What makes that so special, and why? How did you build that? And the guys must love it.
Yeah, I hope so. And again, you wish you could put stuff out for everybody, but it just started. When I was making, my name of just, hey, this is how I want to run a program. This is, like I was just saying, I'm going to take a little bit from Coach Mick. I'm going to take a little bit from here. I'm going to take a little bit from this. And I'm going to take from my staff and form, but I'm always going to be true to who I am. And, I know that the kids are on these all the time, right? And I know it's Twitter, it's Instagram. That's all I have. I'm sure there's more, but, you'd be shocked. Like, a lot of times you'll find things out just by pulling that up. And then that starts a relationship building process with someone else. Like, oh, I didn't know your mom was into, cooking and has her own cookbook now. And like, I'm just here, like, it happens. But I always said, and I never, ever want anything to be about me. It's never about me. It's always about my staff. It's about this program. It's always about these kids. And whatever I can do to pump them up, to even promote them and give them love, right? Because let's face it, recruits see that. Their friends see it at other schools. And then I want them to be jealous. Like, man, my coach doesn't do that. Like, you put out a graphic for Dude of the Week. What's Dude of the Week? And then in turn, certain places might copy that. And that's fine. I take that as a big sign of admiration. It's cool. But, it was my thing that I just always wanted to do. I wanted to give back to the kids, have a little fun. Nothing better than graphics, getting the likes, getting the posts, getting people talking about you. And, even with the speed stuff too, which, the other day, those speeds, that's just from 20 yards. And that's impressive just because that's just pure acceleration. Like, wait till you see the top end ones. Like, it's crazy. But you know why else that's good too? Because you know who sees that stuff? The next level, the NFL. And that's become probably one of the biggest things with the sports science is like, when the NFL people talk to you, again, they're not asking how much he benches. They're not asking what he squats. They're saying, hey, what's some of his catapult numbers from a game? Hey, what's his practice load look like? Hey, what's the highest speed he's ever recorded? And right there's validation for that too. Like, we're not making these up. We're not trying to look cooler than we are. Like, that's real. And, and I think, even talking about that sports science thing, I think that's another thing, just going through the year process and for these kids and even us, like probably them more than anything, is validating, one, the way that we train that sets them up to dominate on Saturdays, but also the recovery aspect of it, like knowing, showing them, even though we don't as much, but, hey, on Tuesday and Wednesday, your practice loads are like this. And then Thursday, Friday, obviously they're real low. So on Saturday, you're not even going like as hard as you were on Tuesday. And it's like, or you're going harder than you did on Tuesday, or you played a game on Tuesday and a game on Saturday and you're recovering so fast because you're training right. Like, they feed off that too. So, but yeah.
It must also be because, so I looked at that and you had Will Pauling was maybe 2 or 3 up there, which is a ridiculous speed that I can't hardly go in my car. And then you had Green was at like 8 or 9. So it must also be like, hey, I need to work harder. Like, I got to get up to where, Will's at, or maybe I can work and shave off, build a quick mile per hour, shave off, but because you're not shaving seconds, add a 0.1 or 0.2 on. So I think that stuff's really cool because I never knew what my mile per hour, speed might've been, but now in the NFL, all these metrics are taken and they're pretty serious. That's how they it's like Moneyball. Like, they take all this data. And so I love that you're doing it because kids are now, they know where they're at in everything. And I think it's also competitively nice, but also for Green to say, hey man, I can do better than this. If Will's up there, I'm going to try and get up there.
Yeah.
So I like, like that. I think it builds that. So talking about social media and how much craziness is out there, I got to ask, because there's been some really cool things you're seeing today. I don't know if you've seen it because you've been working all morning, but I get 100 text messages the second anything happens for Wisconsin football. Is there going to be a new coach added or a new consultant added to the all I see is that we might get a guy who played up for the Patriots and was a coach in the NFL. I don't want to ruin it for everyone. I guess it's coming out. But Vrabel might be part of the Badger coaching staff. If you know it, though, you don't have to tell us. I just think it's so cool.
He could come be my assistant.
Yeah. I just think it's fascinating that Fickle, I didn't know this, but they played together.
Yeah.
And think about that as another whole new dynamic. That's what makes Coach Fickle really dynamic, is he's, I feel like, open to having these guys come in, help. And Vrabel's no joke. Like, he's a proven success.
It kind of goes back to, just all the hires that were made, from Kenny Guyton, who did an unbelievable job at Arkansas, and before that, Houston, all that, but, was the interim OC this past year. Obviously, Blazek at Vanderbilt, but before that, I think Coach Fick, knowing and working with Chris Ash from his Ohio State days when Chris Ash was the head coach of Rutgers, Blazek was the O-line coach there, and, I think just reassuring that, Ash telling Fick, like, no, this is exactly what you want. This guy is unreal. He's going to kill it. Same with Kenny G. Same with Grinch. Like, I mean, we know where the head man's at, most of the time. He's in that D staff room now. And he doesn't want to just have a bunch of yes men. He wants to learn too. He wants to, evolve and find ways to be better. I mean, he's always challenged by that. And, no doubt if an opportunity like that presented itself, of course he'd be open to it. Like, yes, that's his college teammate and roommate and his brother and his best man in his wedding. And, when Fick had his interview at Ohio State, he came to help him out because he wanted to be there for him. And then left to go back to the NFL. Like, that'd be awesome. So if it does happen, it'd be pretty cool.
I mean, it would be bananas if it happened. I just love it. And I also think the guys will love it. Not taking away anything from the coaching staff. First off, I love the hires. What I am really excited about, and in this new kind of age of football, is that attrition's happening. It's just happening with the guys, the transfer portal. They can get money. They want to play somewhere. There's a lot of different thought processes. Same with coaching. Listen, some people have a kid and then they want to go move. Like, you don't know what life throws at you. What I think is really impressive is that you guys are not plateauing at all. You are hiring even better guys. Maybe, so that makes me really excited. And the fact that Vrabel could come in and maybe even just give a 1 day pointer, the guys must be like amped. I would be amped if that happened.
Yeah. I mean,
like a Lorenzo Neal came in, or like anyone, yeah. I'd be like, look at that. Or even though I tried to fight him, Mike Allstott, we tried to fight him once in that a long time ago when I was in college. But if that dude walked in and gave me pointers, I'd be like, dude, this is what it's all about, man. This is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I think no matter what, yes, you get a name, you get can't say the word right now, but you know what I'm saying? Reputation to your name. But I think it's the old saying too, kids don't care how much you know. They care how much you care. And, I think a lot of times too, there's a really good saying, and I got it right here, and I got it on a big poster out in the indoor in the weight room. And I didn't have it up last year, and I have it up now. And I'll read it to you. It says, hard coaching equals love, right? When a coach takes it easy on you, they're setting you up for a hard life ahead. Don't take the coach for granted that's constantly holding you accountable. They might seem annoying to you in the moment until one day when you're annoyed with the life you have. Most coaches aren't out to get you. They're out to get you to where you want to be one day. There's a reason your coach is on you about being early, staying late, studying, doing extra, taking care of your body, and being a good person. It's because your coach loves you. They see what you could be one day, and if you can't see that hard coaching is love, you're blind.
Beautiful.
No doubt.
Beautiful. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. We've got we've only got a couple minutes left here with Coach Collins. And so one of the other things though I wanted to sort of touch on, I guess, is last year you talked about sort of, especially when the team sort of had that dip, right, against Indiana and against Northwestern, when things seemed to be at their lowest. A lot of times it felt like the team was coming out of the gate slowly in some of these games. Like second half, they looked great, but first half, like they weren't engaged. Something just seemed off. What did you sort of take from sort of, I guess, the nadir of last season, and have you tried to address that in any ways throughout your training?
I mean, yeah, you kind of do. Like, I'd be lying to you if I said I don't look at like everything. And as my job, my passion, I'm like, all right, how can we help that? How can, like, oh, it's raining. How can I fix that? Like, it's just, it's natural. It's what we do. Like, that's how much we care and how much, we want to try to enhance everything. And, Coach Fick and I talked about it. Like, I mean, they were trained every single day the right way. They're, like I said, we used the sports science to track loads, all that stuff. So like we were always trending right to peak at game day. It's just about coming out and taking it and establishing it right away. Like, yes, there might've been times we weren't, there might've times we weren't, or we did. And I don't want to keep saying the same thing, but I really do think it goes back to the alignment thing, and not just the players, but the coaches, top down, everybody on the right path, everybody moving towards the same thing, the communication on point. And, it's not an excuse. First year, new people learn all this stuff. It doesn't matter. Like, when it's time to whoop ass, it's time to whoop ass. And, I feel like, we put them in those situations in the weight room that like, hey, you see weakness, you attack, now you attack it even more. And I think, having those guys, like I said, those best players that are your best workers and best leaders, now they're driving that and they're holding us, like, it's not just me saying it, that's going to help. But you're always looking for something different. I mean, I know this, if we win the coin toss, we're going to defer. That's just the way it is. It's about everybody being on the same page, man. It really is. And shit's going to happen. You're going to give up a shot. You're going to give up a run. You're going to, hopefully not, but you're going to, drop a ball. You're going to maybe, block the wrong guy when it should have been this. It's always going to be about effort and technique. Fundamentals, right? Those travel with you everywhere you go. So as long as we can hone in on that, be confident in that, and be tighter than ever as a team, as position units, as a brotherhood, then the rest, they're out there doing what they love to do with the guys they love to do it with. And yes, like Bernie said, we're going to war. No doubt we are. And, if we continue on the trajectory that we're doing, I'm going to war with these guys because I know what they put in every single day. I know what's coming. There's more pieces coming in the summer with the young kids and, who knows what else. But, bodies are changing. That's easy. It's the hearts and the minds. And, restoring and creating a legacy and a standard, of true competitiveness and, what it really means, to love this game of football. That's what it's all about.
And Brady, if you are a kid coming to Wisconsin, the next couple years schedule is beautiful. I mean, for me, coming to wanting to play, I don't think you can beat it anywhere. I mean, we got UCLA, we got Alabama, and then the normal Big Ten.
Yeah.
I mean, the normal,
the usual.
What's the intensity like to say like, hey, we're playing Alabama September 13th, 14th here. I'm sorry, I'm coming out the 12th, so I'll be there.
Yeah.
Believe me, I'm coming to see you guys because I'm jacked for this weekend, and I'm not even playing in it, so It must be so exciting for the dudes. You guys talk about some of the games and like, hey, Alabama's working hard. Let's get this going.
I tend to kind of save any talk of like, teams that you're playing until the summer, just because obviously it's a lot closer then. I'm definitely going to throw in a golden reference here and there, just to make sure we're always beating the shit out of them and everything that we do. But, they know it. They're kids. Like I said, if they got this, they see the schedule, they know it. And you know what they are? They are, because the dudes want to play against the best. If you love this game and you want to be great, you don't want to go and play, I'm not going to even say a name because I don't want to be disrespectful, but those types of teams. You want to play the Alabamas. You want to play Oregon. You want to play USC. You want to have Penn State come into your house. Like, you want that. Like, that's what football is all about. Big time matchup, the anticipation, the hype, all that stuff, the environment. Like, that's what you feed on. That's why I love what I do. Like, it's awesome. Game days are the best in the world. And there's times to use that as motivation, but kind of like what I said earlier, we know everybody's working. Everybody in the world right now is working out. They're lifting weights. They're running sprints. They're doing this. They're giving motivational speeches, all that kind of shit. Nobody cares. Work harder. And, the team, I tell my son this all the time, and he can say it now too. The team that plays the toughest, plays the hardest, always wins. That didn't say talented, didn't say the fastest, didn't even say the strongest, right? It's the team that plays the toughest, team that plays the hardest. They win.
They win. So we're going to get you out of here on this. What are the plans for Squad Fest 2024?
Oh, man. Yes, that is. I thought I had my calendar here. I don't. But it will be, yes, it'll be coming in, I don't know how many months, but the plan is to always one-up it. So what we did last year was awesome, but we got to one-up it. How we're going to do that, I don't know. Maybe we can put you guys inside the room this time. I don't know. Could. Yeah.
We could do it at New Glarus. I know how you enjoy a spotted cow. We could do it at New Glarus. Imagine that view. I don't know if you've been there, but the view is beautiful.
I've heard, yeah.
It's beautiful. Dude, that's a place you got to visit. I don't know how you went up it. It was so exciting and so electrified.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe what you do in Camp Randall, but outside of that, it's just it just seems like fun things that dudes would enjoy now. And obviously social media is so cool and everyone's going, wow, look at this. Oh, wow, he did 540. I mean, when Braylon stepped up and just banged 540 like 6 times or whatever he did, dude, I was there. That was no joke. Like there was no cheating involved. Like he was going low and he was popping up. That's a strong man in my eyes. But Brady, I just love what you bring, man. You bring like that intensity, that knowledge. You care for the guys is what the biggest message I get. It doesn't matter where you are. And I love that because I think the Wisconsin culture is we love as fans and as alumni, like we love these guys.
Yeah.
Like I talk to Matt Perkins. I have like a hard time saying anything negative about dudes because I know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I love them for it. You know, like you put your neck out there when you're on the field in front of millions of people on TV and 80,000 people there. It's not easy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of plays I have made huge mistakes, just jogged off like it never happened. That's what my coach said. But dude, I love it. I appreciate your time. Man, I wish I could be at Squad Fest, but I just had I'm having a second kid. And
good for you, man. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
You can live stream it. You can live stream it.
I'll live stream in for sure. I'll be like,
there you go.
Hey, to my daughter, my second, maybe both of them will probably want to watch. The other one will be like, what is going on here? I'll be like, you'll know one day. You get in that squad rack with Coach Collins.
Yeah. No, I think it will. I think, how do you one up it? I think it's going to be one, the kids that are coming back, they kind of have an idea of what it's about. So yes, they're going to work their balls off, but it's going to be something that they do together and they can only get through it together. But I think it's just going to have a deeper meaning because of just everything we've gone through. Like I said, all the new pieces, all that kind of stuff. But, knowing that this is another way of us giving back in a way while still grinding them. But again, it's another part of our edge. It's what separates us from everybody else. Not to just put it out on media and look cool and have all that stuff or, it's about who we are and what we were trying to be about.
So I absolutely, I think it's so cool. I love it. I really appreciate it. Brady. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. It's just so nice to be able to have this relationship with you and, hear about the dudes just grinding. I don't miss it though. I do a little bit, but not all of it.
You don't miss. Yeah. If you came back now, you would love the Thursday, which is tomorrow. Tomorrow's just a great, juicy upper body lift. I mean, we absolutely shred them. Friday for those days though. Fridays are.
I remember we did leg circuit on Fridays, and it was very memorable.
Yes, I'm always coming up with new ways to see how I can finish them off.
A lot of hard. If there were stairs to get to class, those are the classes I usually are like, nah, it's a little bit. Where's the ramp? No ramp. It's a little hard today. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's hope we have an elevator in that building. And yes, well, let's want to thank everyone for tuning in here to Believe in Badgers on the Believe Network, presented by betonline.ag and Oak Ridge Wealth Management. We cannot thank Coach Collins enough for hopping back on with us for a third time. We're hoping it's a fourth again very soon. And to everyone listening, thanks for tuning in and on Wisconsin.
On Wisconsin.